my place, I'm like, hurry up.
Because it was top of the hour, and usually we take a
okay,
break at that time. So I really need a direction. Don't let me fly blind like that. Yes, Bwana.
So can I conclude?
Yes, kindly conclude.
I'm not trying to push for something, but I'm just trying to say that.
Oh, you're pushing an agenda.
No.
No. Well,
no.
That's fine. It's your friend.
No, but this is what I'm saying.
They're already pushing an agenda.
No. It's your friend.
What I'm trying to say is, there's so much going on, and I believe because we are, as women, we are set up in a way that if we are mourning, we don't really necessarily want to discuss what happens afterwards. And I believe that's also what's happening with the family, with Mama Ida, with the daughter. And I think that this is also a very dangerous space for us to be in, because while we'll be genuinely mourning, there will be opportunists who will be, jumping in. And that calculation that this DCP gentleman has put out, that they didn't have any calculation of Luo Nyanza or Raila, they had basically let him go. Can I also just point out that you might not have had a calculation before, but you can be sure, I at least am sure as day and night, that Luo Nyanza is going to disintegrate. And I'm 100% sure that they are going to
politically, or
yes,
you're saying
they are going
to will listen
politically.
To
I am 100% sure there are going to be 3 factions. I am 100% sure one faction will be led by the youthful Sifuna and Babu Owino, and who have always wanted to push the agenda, the legacy of Baba, which is literally to liberate this country. I know that faction will move out from, the likes of the Gladys Wanga and Orengo faction, the one that would want to probably sit in the institution and carry on with the broad-based things. And I also know that there's going to be an emerging, because what has been happening is that there's been a lot of disappointment with how ODM have been issuing their tickets. So there's this other faction that has been independently voting for instance, independent candidate that has been there. And I am certain that in that disintegration, then DCP or any other player, including Wiper, you might not have had them in your calculations, but I think it is time for you to think, okay, if that happens,
yes,
what are you going to do as a political party? And you might want to join, forces
now,
with those
political ambitions will emerge.
Yeah.
There's a vacuum to be filled, definitely. We cannot ignore the fact. And there's not too much time for people to laze around and say things will fix themselves. There's a by-election in November. It is 22 months to 2027. A lot needs to be done. And the sooner the better.
As we dive into that, I would urge us not to derail from our subject, which is Raila Odinga. And I want to tell Mwalimu here. He said, and Madam, of course there's no vacuum in power. But the issue is who occupies that position. Will they reach the level of Raila Odinga? That's what we are discussing. We are not saying that after Raila goes, that life will stop. No, life will continue. There will be the leader of ODM, all those things will be there. But will we have somebody of Raila's stature? And that's why I go back to Mwalimu and I tell him, the entire nation can point the good chairman, the chairman of NAT. And when you talk of NAT, Sossion features so prominently. It is not that there were no other chairmen, and it is not that there is no other chairman. There were. But you talk of Sossion because he played a different role which changed the lives of so many teachers and people. So that's why it's recognized. That's why we recognize Raila, because he was exceptional. Go to the football world. We have so many players, but we talk of Pele, Maradona, I don't know who. We don't mention all of them. So that's why we are mentioning this particular gentleman, because his contribution was exceptional. We are not saying that there is a vacuum, there will be a vacuum. No. It depends who takes over. And that's why we are judging from Kenyatta, the senior.
It should be also be noted, Bwana Mutambo, that ODM and the leaders who are being left have often made it known publicly that they totally depend on the direction from Baba. That when Baba says left, they turn left. When he says right, they turn right. Coming from that,
that's why we are arguing there will be a problem at that party, because we may not get that person who will push that party the way Raila was. And that's why I'm saying Raila was aspiring. When he said left, everybody was standing left. When he said right, everybody was saying, when he said Sossion go to parliament, he did not even say, no, I'm a teacher, I want to remain here. He went running to parliament, because that was Raila. When he told Moi, I want you to join hands with me, he came running. When he told Kibaki, can we join hands? Kibaki came running. When he told Kenyatta, Uhuru, we want to join hands, Kenyatta, when the man who even walked across the entire nation and pronounced that there will be no Nusumukate. What happened? What happened? We saw Raila coming in. Yet, we were told and we were treated to a narrative, there will be no Nusumukate. That song died. How did it die? Nobody knows. So that power was with Raila, not with anybody else. That's why we are saying we have lost a very important person in this country who shaped the political space, who shaped people's, our society, and who shaped a lot of things in our administration. Okay. So we cannot forget that. Yes. We are not saying that we will miss somebody to. Even Sossion today can be the leader of ODM if he so wishes, because he is qualified. He has all the qualifications.
We were discussing this week.
You cannot compare. I will not compare the leadership of ODM led by Sossion with the leader of ODM led by Raila Odinga. That's what we are saying.
The facts or the discussion on whether or not these political parties are simply vehicles for these political leaders or personalities has always emerged. And we've seen, even in our history, that once the leader exits, that's the beginning of the end of that party. We saw even when Moi exited KANU, despite even managing his own succession, even attempting to manage his own succession, KANU is a shadow of its former self. We've seen other people exit, even Mwai Kibaki, and DP is nowhere. And we look at ODM right now, and you've been a member of ODM. Do you see a future for the party?
Yeah, I wish to state that sometimes institutions, the success, stability of institutions is determined by the caliber of the leader of that moment.
Thank you.
And it takes time to create a leader for institutions. That's a fact. We must accept that. And maybe that's a gap we have in this country in political institutions. But then we must be able to create a balance between the individuals and the persons and strengthening the frameworks of an institution so that it can transcend generations and times. That is a challenge we have in this country in terms of political institutions. We tended to personalize so much so that when that person is not there, that institution must die. And this is where we fail in sustaining strong, reliable political institutions where the citizens can incubate their democratic ideals, their policies from time to time. Having been a member of ODM and having worked very closely with Raila Odinga, I think what he has done is to incubate leadership at all levels. You might underrate ODM because the prominent face is Raila Odinga, but I can tell you the capacity of the leaders within the framework of ODM is so strong.
If we could draw parallels with KANU, which was the other party that had proper structures at the grassroots level.
I choose to be optimistic, and I choose to present
KANU had a longer lifeline than ODM. And if we could draw comparisons there, KANU had structures to the grassroots level across the country. But the exit of the leader, within no time,
but KANU
was no
let's be frank with KANU. KANU didn't have very strong internal democratic structures. Look at what happened in Kasarani, ile ilikuwa Kisirani, and there was automatic fallout, because if you don't promote internal democratic practices within the structures, that is when you have a fallout. So for me, I wish ODM very well. I do not wish to see ODM disintegrate because of exit of Raila. I would wish to see ODM more united and play a more significant role in the democratization of this country, Me, I don't wish to see any fallout. And probably I even will not see any fallout. And the presence of ODM in the broad-based government gives it an insurance of continuity and strong sustenance post Raila, because they have the best opportunities
Based on what?
to organize
There must be
themselves.
something you're basing your argument on, that probably the party structures are better, that the party democratic structures are better. ODM, like any other party, has not even had elections for its own officials.
But it's a political party that has conducted more democratic elections at the grassroots than any other political party. That's a fact for sure.
For the past 2 years, we've been getting promises and commitments that the two parties,
this is
UD
a
and
political.
ODM. Allow me to ask this, that ODM is carrying out grassroots elections. It was not successful, not even in Luo Nyanza.
Fred, let us mourn Raila Odinga today. let us
Dr. Peter Mbai, are you willing to
let
take
us
up that
promote
matter?
positivism.
The fact that political
It is
parties...
a moment for positive reflection.
I feel like you're being
I think Fred, we are crossing the line because we are beginning to get tempted
I'm being
to engage in controversial.
Fred, let me say,
controversial
you're being
politics.
unfair to Sossion. Because the way some of us are mourning the loss of Raila Odinga as a leader is not the same way the broad-based people are mourning. So he's in so much shock. They are in more shock than anyone. And
think
he cannot
Fred,
be able to
I think Fred in this show, let us refrain from playing the usual primitive politics of political parties, and I think let us avoid.
We cannot divorce issues of politics from this matter. Unfortunately, Bwana Sosio.
No, I think it's good with
Fred, I will tell you what.
Sossion being a teacher first, may I remind him?
Yes.
Perhaps he does not know the definition of primitive. When he calls the politics that we are talking about primitive, I wonder whether he is really celebrating the life of Raila Odinga.
So Fred,
because Raila Odinga played this politics.
Okay.
So you cannot call him
let me reframe.
You cannot call him primitive.
Let me reframe, Fred.
Yeah, you need to.
Let us not.
we
Let us avoid politics.
Withdraw
Let us avoid politics
you are
of
actually
hate.
abusing Raila.
Let us avoid politics.
Lady
of
and
hate.
gentlemen,
I think that is a better
Dr.
word.
Mbai.
Let us avoid politics of hate.
Senator,
I
let's
think
allow
that is a
Dr.
better
Mbai.
word.
Bwana Sossion, it is now Bwana Mbai's time.
Thank you. Let's avoid words like those. It's good to withdraw and apologize. So what you are saying, I can tell you today seated here, because we are discussing, we are in this country. I mean, we are here doing analysis, fair for that matter. One thing I can tell you is that the SG of ODM is on record, saying several times in the presence of Raila, in Raila being around, he is in public saying he is a one-term. This is SG, the SG of ODM party. And he has never been summoned and told, stop it, don't do it. Babu Awino has been speaking out this way, but going back to Raila to tell him, Baba, we still love you. We owe everything to you. So I can tell you what will happen. The biggest person, the best who I feel for, sincerely, Fred, is the president of this Republic of Kenya. Because his calculations were that, because Raila commands this number, let me chase out Rigathi Gachagua, get Raila, and win a second term. That, by the way, he had no other plan. That was the only plan. We have said here, many people have said that the last hope for President Ruto is Raila Odinga. It's there, it's known. I mean, that's what has been there. So now I can tell you this. With Raila, I think there was hope. Not that we were knowing it was going to be a sure bet, but there was some hopes that somehow he'd replace his magic with Joho, Coast, Northeastern. But now I can tell you, if the SG himself, if many people, Babu, we know all the people who are eloquent, forget about the people who are elderly, they have done their life. If they have been talking about one term openly, what about now that Baba is gone? And remember, Sifuna has been saying, Baba, you have told me. There is nothing Sifuna have said which has not come in the spirit of Baba. Because Baba was, during the day, this side, but of course, he was sending Akina Sifuna to go to the opposition because of the future. Because he didn't want to have a lot of egg on his face. So practically speaking, I can tell you, the one man who has suffered most with this death, the biggest, in the worst way possible, is the President of the Republic of Kenya, because of his political calculations. What happens here, I can tell you, This, it's going to go either way. Either they decide, someone like the governor for Kisumu takes over as a party leader for now, or it goes the family way, where now somebody emerges quickly, or people like Babu or Sifuna, or maybe the family, somebody to come up and say, we are moving on.
Don't you think that probably the campaigns for the AUC post allowed the former Prime Minister an opportunity to somewhat and to a certain extent manage his transition, especially in the leadership of the party? At that time is when we got to see this transition of some of the older officials move into government, and we got a new chairperson of the party in the person of Gladys Wanga.
Yeah.
We got new officials separate away from the older deputy party leaders. Don't you think that that means that now we have a new energized leadership for ODM, and that could signal whether or not the party will survive going forward?
Fred, the party is as good as a party leader. The party is good as a party leader, and the party leader is not appointed. Party leader emerges. That's why people have a problem, for example, with DCP. It's not about, it's about the person. So it's a person who emerges, then he rallies people around him out of his personality, character, who he stands for. These things come. So the fact that somebody is appointed party leader doesn't mean he deserves the party leadership. Okay. Because this is something that grows. I'm giving you an example of how Raila became who he became. He just emerged. Something happened, he felt, no, you guys are taking things so slowly. He went and took over for Kenya. When the problems came, he went to PLDP and all the way. I afraid don't see, we are praying, of course, with the family. We are here mourning, of course, praying with the ODM family and wishing them the best and telling them, we all had wished Raila to go even 100 years, right? But since fate has found it fit for him to pass on, Fred, we are here saying on record, we are with the ODM family, yes, with either another, but
focusing on ODM.
Yes, but we are saying we are with them. But we are saying how it transits going forward is a miracle.
Interestingly, you talked about Winnie Odinga, Senator Gloria, but you never mentioned the chairperson of ODM, Gladys Wanga. She has received plaudits on her performance as governor. She is the chairperson of the party.
He was even touted to be the
yes,
next deputy
someone
president.
Even said that she would be a possible deputy president or a running mate to the president. How come you do not see that?
This is my personal opinion.
Yes.
I know Winnie Odinga personally.
Yes, Mwalimu, kindly let's allow.
And I feel like maybe because I know her personally, and I know how she had the best interests of her father's legacy. And I feel like as a person, because I know her personally, I trust her more. I'm a politician, so I also know at this time there are a lot of politicians who will use this to, further their careers or whatever. So maybe my opinion is biased because my opinion is coming from a personal level. And if people would get, and maybe this is the fault that Winnie has also done, she's sort of taken a back seat. But if she would present herself as who I know her to be, I believe that she is definitely the person.
And I was asking you directly about Gladys Wanga.
Yeah.
Now, she is the chairperson of ODM. Right now, she may not be the party leader, but she has a greater role in trying to navigate the party going forward.
Yeah, but as we've been told here, it's not about being given a position. It's about who you are. It's about the beliefs, how you inspire people, the people you can rally around you. And I just, not that I'm negative about it, I just, at this moment, my personal opinion is, I feel like this movement needs somebody who truly has who understands where the legacy of the father was.
And it was never going to be an easy job taking over a party of the stature of ODM.
I want to say this also. Baba had said to Kenyans to wait that he was going to come and give us direction. He had said that. And the only person I believe who knew that direction is Winnie.
Oh, but is that true?
And I'm giving my opinion.
She says it's a personal
it's a personal opinion.
She's thinking the only person.
And no, that's my personal opinion based on what I know, and nobody can take my personal opinion away from me, yeah? I believe that their relationship, she knew more what the father wanted. And by the way, if you look keenly at Winnie Odinga as a person and at her movement since the broad-based government, you will see that as much as Baba was in the broad-based government, the same way you have talked about Sifuna coming out to talk about all these different things, I want you to get me a video or a photo of Winnie Odinga in any of the broad-based government events. You will not find her.
Okay.
You will not see her. Okay. So I know and I believe and I trust that that is a person that knows what kind of legacy the father wanted to leave, and is a person that knows the direction he was coming back to give us. And another thing that I want to say, because we keep throwing names here and there, I just think that we have a bias as Kenyans not to trust in the leadership of young women. And I think that is becoming more and more of a barrier, that we cannot see the potential that someone
Gladys Wanga is fairly young.
Well, I'm talking, Winnie Odinga is 30, what, 6 or is it 30? I mean, between Gladys Wanga and Winnie Odinga, what are we talking about? We are not going to argue about that age. That's like day and night.
All right.
I'm just saying that we have been conditioned to think in this country that young people cannot take up that mantle and run with it. And you know, people like Baba Owino have had to really push themselves out and defy all sorts of odds. So that's my my thinking.
And I'll take you back to the days of KANU. You've been a member of KANU, yes? And it was never going to be easy for anyone to take over the big shoes left by the party leader in KANU. That even a person of the stature of Uhuru Kenyatta, who eventually became president and ran this country for 10 years, running KANU was a different problem altogether. That ODM, a party that has steered clearly, it was steering purely because of the person that Raila Odinga is or was. Taking over from that, filling those shoes is going to be impossible. It was easier for Uhuru Kenyatta to form his own party and run for president in a different party than to run KANU.
Let me say this, although many people may disagree with me, but I know for a fact, ODM was Raila. Raila was ODM. How you process that information
is up to you.
It's up to you. But that is the fact. Another painful fact in this country, parties in our country, they belong to individuals. KANU, despite it being a single party for the longest time, it was Moi's party. When Moi left, not even his son,
who was very close to the father,
could pull or could bring an impetus into the party. People went their way. DP was Kibaki. With Muturi today trying left, right, and center, nothing. Wiper is Kalonzo. Okay? ODM is Raila. So, as much as we want and we are wishing ODM well, I'm wondering we are wishing them well to prevail where others could not. I don't know how special it will be that ODM now will remain ODM. I can tell you today, we are mourning the death of Raila Odinga. The next thing politically we'll be mourning is the death of ODM. The way KANU died, the way DP died, the way PNU died. People will argue, no, the parties are there. They are here with what? With who? Doing what? What impact do they have? I also have a political party and I'm silent. I'm not talking about it because I'm not at that level, right? So to reach the level of Raila, to drive ODM to the position it is today, trust you me, there are people who are now polishing their shoes from ODM. They want to wear their shoes and walk away. I can tell you for free, and you will come to see it happen, and it will come to pass. Others are even calling Wiper, where Your Excellency, blah, 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 all those kind of things. They are happening today, and we have not even buried Raila. So let Kenya know that Raila was ODM, ODM was Raila. How you process the information, I wish you...
The other significant contribution that Raila made to this country is around conversations around the Constitution and constitutionalism. That even 15 years after promulgation of the 2010 Constitution, he still was the one who was driving conversations on how to improve on this Constitution, on how to possibly amend or change. He drove the BBI, yes? Conversations that are yet to materialize. How do you think that will proceed going forward? He has been referred to as a father of devolution,
The only way you can strengthen a society so that the society does not die when you die, so that the institutions don't die when you die, is to bring instruments of governance. Instruments of governance that will guide the operations of governance within that space. And I think the biggest benefit to this country, which of course Raila Odinga and Mwai Kibaki jointly agreed and delivered, was the Constitution. The aspirations and the dreams of the second liberation and how to transform governance in this country so that we can have a more prosperous country was through the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So that then in the absence of Kibaki and in the absence of Raila, good things happen in the space of governance. And that's the optimism I'm talking about. And when you look at Vision 2030, there are three pillars: political pillar, economic pillar, and social pillar. And it is what the manifestos are anchored on. And that is why, for me, I'm very optimistic that the country in terms of governance will improve. The political parties, if well managed internally within the democratic framework, they will grow to be strong institutions. And the party that has the best opportunity is ODM. And for me, going into the future, the ecosystem of governance within the country, courtesy of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, will allow good things to happen within at the institutional level and at the country level, so that even if we try to be optimistic, then we have automatic systems that really do make things happen.
Yet Raila Odinga was among the top people who carried conversations, Bonasocion.
Look at it.
He carried conversations individually towards improving on this constitution, amendments, how much money should go to the devolved units. He was the one who ran with that. We've not had any other person who has actually pushed for those things.
Correct. And I think Raila is seeing beyond. The Constitution of Kenya 2010 was not 100%. You remember how we negotiated the Constitution of Kenya 2010 was to remove contentious issues. So it was just but a consensus document. That means a lot of efforts didn't go into the rigorous negotiations for good things. And devolution for equity and equality of resources was one item. And I think as it is in the current constitution, I would say devolution structure as it is phase one. We should move to phase two, where counties have more functions, more responsibilities. Of course, Raila talked of education being fully devolved. I agree with him. Certain aspects must be done by the counties, particularly infrastructure. It's the work of communities. Transport of children to school. It is the work of communities. Maybe teachers and other policies
it is such
can still remain national. About.
So I think that we lack a person who will carry that conversation forward.
Now, what Raila brought to Kenyans was a vision, and a vision that works. We are not going to stay static with this constitution and with this governance structure as is currently. It is open for review. There is nothing that cannot be reviewed in terms of development and progress.
Hence my question.
And even that of institution.
I think you've missed my question because I'm asking, without someone else to carry that conversation forward, because Raila Odinga, in his stature, for him to suggest that probably the resources that go to the counties should go to a higher level, that education should be fully devolved. Such conversations, not even the other political leaders in the other parties in the oppositions are talking about it. It was only Raila Odinga.
Now a straight answer.
Who brings that conversation?
A straight answer. Raila spoke to 55 million Kenyans. 55 million Kenyans were not deaf, they heard. And I don't think out of the 55 million Kenyans, someone will miss to reason, including the government itself. So anything that Raila spoke about must form a basis of future reflection by government and those of us who have remained.
Okay. Dr. Mbai, do you agree that on that front,
and we should be able to go beyond.
In as far as improving on the 2010 Constitution, that is another front where we face a vacuum that will need to be filled?
Actually, and of course, they have declared tomorrow a public holiday.
Yes.
I think in honor of the departed Prime Minister, which again we are saying, he deserves it. Raila deserves a whole holiday for people to mourn him. He is somebody who all of us have been trying to understand and to study really. And of course, there's something you had mentioned. You remember, he had said 72 hours, and people are saying, they're trying to say, no, you can't do that to Raila. It's too, but people need to understand it's something called the family wishes. General Ogora also
Personal
spoke
wishes.
about 72 hours. He was buried within 3 days.